Hello and welcome to AWS On Air. My name is Darko, and today we're going to be looking at some fun things, some new releases or re-releases. We're going to be looking at a service that may already exist, but we are having a great reimagining of it. Today, we are joined by Rick and Kashish from the Amazon Inspector team. Rick, Kashish, please do introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm Rick Anthony. I'm the general manager for Inspector.
Thank you. Kashish.
I'm Kashish. I'm the product manager for Inspector.
Thank you very much. And today, I have the wonderful Javier here with me. Javier, tell us who you are. What do you do?
Thank you, Darko. I'm a developer advocate. I'm based in Spain. And yeah, very much looking forward to see what Amazon Inspector is all about.
Exactly. So, just to introduce myself, I said my name is Darko. I'm also a developer advocate like Javier. I'm based in Berlin, Germany. And let's start. Let's talk about this entire thing. So, we mentioned in the title Amazon Inspector, but that already exists. So, Rick, Kashish, what are we launching today?
Yeah, so we're launching a brand new reimagined version of Inspector. It's an all-new vulnerability management service.
Okay, so maybe you can tell us what is Amazon Inspector?
Sure. So Amazon Inspector is a vulnerability management service. It lets customers look for vulnerabilities in their software resources and workloads. It's been in market since 2016.
Interesting. So when you say vulnerabilities, do you mean like, does it scan your AWS account? What does it actually do, like from a practical perspective?
Yeah, so it will look at all your EC2 instances, it'll look at the software you've installed, and it will match those versions up with vulnerabilities defined by CVEs.
Oh, so it basically looks at the operating system level and the application level for potential vulnerabilities, right?
That's exactly right.
Excellent. So we mentioned we are relaunching a re-architected version of this service that already exists. So what problems are we solving with Amazon Inspector? I would not call it 2.0, but with a brand new Amazon Inspector. What kind of problems are we solving?
So with the existing version of Inspector that is in the market, it was, like Rick mentioned, it was launched in 2016. And since then, cloud has moved, like in cloud years, it's already 100 years. So we had to build something which scales for cloud, which helps customers reduce their manual overhead. Because in the last 6 years, you must have seen the trend of vulnerabilities that are identified has exponentially grown. But the security teams haven't grown exponentially. So we had to design something which reduces that manual overhead and minimizes the time they spend on triage and analysis, and security teams should be focused on patching and remediating so that they can keep their companies, their environment safe.
Gotcha.
Okay, so just one thing here, Kashish, because for me it was very interesting. I'm not a security person. I mean, security is very important for me, but I'm not specialized on that. So when you were starting to speak about vulnerabilities and so on, I got the idea this was for InfoSec people. But you just mentioned something interesting. So which is the target for this? Will be InfoSec teams or like any developer operations, DevOps team is going to be able to use this without knowing much about security?
That's exactly. So our intention was that not only bigger security, I would say bigger organizations with huge security teams should be able to use it, but also the smallest of startups who, like those organizations that are small, they might not even have a security team. There's like devs and operations teams doing that. So that is what our intent was, so that it's really easy for everyone to use with any skill level in security. And we make it really easy to deploy. We make it very easy to understand what the results are, and make it really easy to help developers, operations teams to go and actually fix what they identify.
Like I used to be on operations for a long time, and for me, doing vulnerability scanning and like checking for problems, outdated software was okay when I had 17 servers, right? That was fine. I wasn't really too overwhelmed by that. But now when we talk about having hundreds, thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of EC2 instances, servers, containers, and whatnot, I guess the problem scales with that as well. So when we talk about doing these scannings and vulnerability management, how did customers used to do this before Amazon Inspector, or actually before this new version of Amazon Inspector? What did the customers do?
So before with Amazon, the current version of Amazon Inspector or the older version of Amazon Inspector and traditional vulnerability management solutions, customers had to decide like what to scan, when to scan, and how often to scan.
Okay.
So what I mean by that is they had to decide, I want to scan my instances that are in this account or in that account, or even within the account with only these tags, like, dev instances or dev container images or prod ones. And then they had to schedule it, like schedule run a scan every Monday morning or at Sunday night, whatever the time is. And then they had to decide, how often to scan and like what should be the time. Like there was a lot of like I would say thought process that went into it, which was a significant overhead for security teams. They always reached out to us, are we doing it enough or are we not doing it enough? Like, are we overdoing it? So it's just so many questions that we got, which we have tried to address by moving to completely automated and continual vulnerability management service with Inspector.
I think always the biggest problem is like when you're scanning for security issues, for vulnerabilities, if you miss one server, that's a big problem, right? So it's like not like, oh, it's just a tiny little problem, but because if you don't know what you don't know, that can be an issue. So basically, this new version of this will help us to scan everything, right?
Exactly.
That's the whole point.
And I do want to bring out one additional point there is that you mentioned a lot of EC2s or servers running. That was on-prem and things like that. But in cloud, there are instances or VMs that come up even for a couple of hours or 6 hours and they go down. And if you're scanning every Sunday or every Monday, you won't even realize the hundreds of thousands of servers that go up and down within that time. And hackers need just a minute to hack your whole environment. Then they can, move laterally through your environment. So with Inspector, the new Inspector, we do scan those ephemeral or short-lived resources also in near real time.
I think that's a great use case. I think that's a great thing to point out because, on the cloud, not everything lives all the time. So this is a great thing. Excellent.
But Darko, you know what? Seeing is believing, because we're speaking about what it is, what it can do. But I think Cassius is brave enough to show this.
Show us.
So we can, do you have a demo for this?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay, Kashish, prepare that demo, and we'll bring it up on screen right now. So I think I can. Can I pull it up? We're good. Boom. Okay, excellent. All right. Can you please zoom in a bit, just a smidge, so we can see this a bit bigger. Excellent. So okay. So Kashish, before you start, tell us, what are you going to show us?
So I'm going to show you how easy is it to essentially onboard into or enable Inspector for your whole organization, which could have up to 5,000 accounts. And then kind of walk you through the dashboard and what is really good about Inspector and some differentiating factors that we have introduced in the new Inspector.
Okay, so before you continue, you enable for all accounts, like the entire org.
Yes.
So does this mean that once you do this, it will scan all of your resources in those accounts?
Correct.
Or interesting. That's a very neat way to do it. Carry on.
Sounds good. So as you can see, I have 5 accounts in my org right now. This is the org management account. And I'll use this account. You can see account number starting in 6132. And this is what you see when you go and look for Inspector from the AWS Management Console. Okay. And what I'll do is I'll delegate an admin account for Inspector so that account will be able to centrally manage, control, and see findings for all your organization. So all I have to do is...
Okay.
So, go ahead.
When you say account, you mean like an AWS account in this case?
Yes, correct.
Okay.
AWS account. So as soon as I click on delegate, this will automatically not only delegate this account, but also enable Inspector for that delegated administrator account.
Okay.
And what I'm going to do now is log into that account to show you that it is already enabled, and you start seeing findings right away.
Good. So while Kashish is logging in, Rick, when we talk about vulnerability scannings on containers and EC2 instances, does Inspector require some agent, something to run on the OS level or the container level?
Yeah, for EC2 instances in the past, we had a dedicated inspector agent, and that's was a big challenge for customers to manage, right? You're always trying to, do I have the agent? Is it healthy? So for the new inspector, we're using the SSM agent, and we're getting really good feedback from customers that this is something they've adopted. So it's easy. It's just, you turn it on and it goes. For ECR, there's no agent. We plug directly into ECR.
Okay, so SSM agent is the systems manager agent. It's basically on any Amazon Linux instance you launch, there's a systems manager agent running on it. If you have given it permissions, it can talk to the systems manager, and in this case, it can talk to Inspector. And for ECR, the Elastic Container Registry, it's basically a place where you store your container images, so it actually scans the image itself for vulnerabilities. Okay, awesome. Kashish, take it away.
So this is the delegated admin account you can see that I put in the previous screen. And from account management, you can see all the accounts I have in my account, and I enabled all of them. And I can centrally manage, enable, disable, do anything I want from this one account. And we also give a really good feature where you don't have to go and do this again and again if a new account is added to your org. So you can simply just do automatically enable Inspector for all new member accounts and click save. So it's all set up. You don't have to take any manual action going forward.
Okay.
Going back to the dashboard, this is where we show the environmental coverage. So for example, 5 out of 5 of your accounts are using Inspector, have that enabled. 11 out of 12 instances are being continuously scanned by Inspector, and 2 out of 2 ECR repositories are being scanned. So we do that because we want to make sure customers have real-time understanding of what is being scanned versus what is not. So let's see here, like 11 out of 12 are being scanned, 1 is not, why not? So here we do give a reason, exact reason, actionable reason, so that customers know what is wrong. So right now it says unmanaged EC2 instance. What it means is it's not managed by SSM. So they have to go and install or configure SSM agent. As soon as they do that, we will automatically detect that and mark this in scanning, so that they can avoid any security coverage gap.
So in essence, to have your instance be able to be scanned by Inspector, it needs to be managed. That is, it needs to have permission to talk to systems manager.
Correct. And on the dashboard, we give all sorts of basic dashboarding features. For example, which accounts have most vulnerable findings, and then which ECR repos, which container images, and so forth and so on. I do want to quickly talk about this vulnerabilities with most of the findings. So these are the top 5 packages, what we call on fire, because security teams usually have so many findings, so many vulnerabilities that come up every other day. They need to know what to fix first. So we do that basic triage and analysis for them, where we identify these top 5 packages. For example, OpenSSL. If I click on OpenSSL, you'll see that it has 5 or 4 CVEs attached to it. And we look at not just the number of CVEs, criticality of those CVEs, and how many resources it is impacting, so that customers don't have to worry about doing that analysis. We tell them, go fix these packages first or update these packages first. That will reduce their risk posture significantly.
Excellent.
And then
these are the vulnerabilities at the moment you scan. What if a hacker now creates a new vulnerability and it gets documented at a CVE? How, in which state am I at that point?
Right. So that's the good part about the new Inspector. We detect everything in near real time. So let's say if there is a new CVE that was published, we will detect that, and we will automatically trigger a rescan for all the resources that is impacted, and give customers that real-time view of the new CVEs that come in. So what I mean by that is, let's see here. So here you can see anytime a new CVE is published, or even you install a new package, anything
Right.
changes in your environment or the CVE landscape, we automatically detect that. We automatically trigger a rescan, and you can see here how new findings just trickle in 2 days ago, 3 days ago. Sorry.
Somebody's chime is ringing. Okay, so because you solved that, I'm gonna ask Rick something here. So when we talk about, let me move this one here. There we go. So when we talk about these like scannings and CVEs, so these are just like general public facing CVEs that are available. So you automatically pull those things, right?
Yeah, so we have about 50 different sources. So we pull from operating system vendors, we pull
Okay.
from National Vulnerability Database, we have a couple private sources, and we're ingesting that data constantly in order
Yeah.
to trigger these rescans.
Awesome. Now, as an operations person, I always have a question here. One thing is finding a problem. The other thing is like, so what do I do about it right now? Do you give recommendations, or is there like a way to trigger some automated process to fix the things? Oh, I see things showing up. So
Yeah, we give all those information, which all packages were affected by something and what is, the remediation for it and so forth and so on. We give all those details.
Wonderful. Now, this may not be an existing feature, but is there a way to automatically link this to like a run book or something like that because it's using Systems Manager, or is this currently not the thing?
Not currently, not right now.
Okay. There's my ask for you. Please make it a bit able to trigger a run book or something like that.
A bit related to this, I know we have a lot of resources like Detective and the no, and the Hub and a few other resources where you can see all the global status of your security. Does Inspector also put the data on those dashboards, or?
Yeah, so with Inspector, there's a lot of different options for integration. So it will put your findings to EventBridge. And if you have a Security Hub account, we will also publish those there. So if you want to see everything in one place, you can simply go to Security Hub once you've enabled Inspector.
It's wonderful. Cool. It's wonderful. Now, before we got into this, Kashish mentioned something like a Inspector risk score. Tell us a bit about that.
So Inspector risk score is highly contextualized score for your environment. What I mean by that is, and I can show you in real time how that works is, let's say actually this might not be the right example. Let's see this one. So for example, here, we do provide all scores. So for example, Red Hat said this score is 8.8. In this score, Inspector score is also 8.8. But what we look at is, we look at attack vector, we look at attack complexity. So let's say if the attack vector for this CVSS provided by Red Hat was network, and we say that instance is not really reachable by the internet. So technically, what attack vector means is how can that vulnerability be exploited.
Gotcha.
And network means like it can be only exploited remotely, which means if an instance has connectivity with the internet, only then it is easy to exploit that vulnerability. And if we determine that this instance is not really even reachable by the internet, then we automatically reduce the score to effectively show what it means on that specific instance.
Yeah. So in essence, you can give it a custom score based on the current circumstances of the instance. If the attack is only a network thing and your instance is not exposed to the internet, the overall risk score can be lower here. Excellent. So this was wonderful. We've seen some demos. We've seen some great things. Before we close off, I want to tell everybody here that there is a way for you to try this. There is currently a 15-day free trial for all new accounts, so make sure to check it out. I guess you can just go to the Inspector console and check all of these new features out, so make sure to do that. It's just a great way for you to kind of enable Amazon Inspector at a broader scope than just manually selecting instances. And it is very much important that you scan all the things that you can, because you don't know what you don't know. So check out Amazon Inspector, the newly reimagined one. Go to your AWS account. You should be able to find it in your console. There's a 15-day free trial, so it doesn't hurt to try. And yeah, Kashish, Rick, Javier, thank you very much. And thank you, everybody, for watching.